Anthropic just released Claude Fable 5 and Mythos 5. And the benchmarks are amazing. Everyone thought that it would be just one Mythos release, and now it's two models that were released, and Fable is even better than Mythos. And it's not just about the benchmarks. They're saying that Fable and Mythos are models that are feeling less like a chatbot, but the ones that you can give more responsibility to and run for long horizon tasks without intervention. Anthropic says this is their strongest generally available model for things like coding, knowledge work, vision, legal work, financial work, and tool use. On their benchmark table, it beats ChatGPT 5.5 and Gemini 3.1 Pro on most of the tests shown. Mythos 5 is the same underlying model but with some safeguards lifted. The version is not public for now. There's one catch though. Fable 5 is available to Pro, Max, and Enterprise team users only until June 22nd. And after June 23rd, they say that you will have to pay extra usage credits for using this model, unless they extend the window, which they might not. So if we look at the benchmarks here in the more detail, basically beats Claude Opus 4.8, also beats Mythos, and beats, of course, ChatGPT 5.5. And 5.5 has been leading on coding for quite a while, and many people have been saying that it was much better than Opus 4.8. And what's interesting for me is OpenAI should have released 5.6 last week, but have delayed it due to some bug. I don't know. It seems like they knew that this model is coming out. They wanted to wait for the benchmarks, and now they want to release the 5.6 after. Because if they released and it was worse, it would be an immediate blow to OpenAI, because by the time they get the new model 5.7 or whatever 6.0, it would have taken quite a while. Now, agentic coding is a significant jump from 69% to 80.3%. As you can see, the spatial reasoning is much better. So the model is getting better, not just in coding, but in generic agentic tasks. There's also quite a few things that I see here on the benchmarks, non-related to coding, such as humanities last exam, a big increase on that one. Biology, health is a big jump as well. So the frontier code is also a big jump, especially if you look at Max. It is much more expensive though. I would expect that from these big models, but still. I'm seeing this agentic coding significantly higher versus ChatGPT 5.5. All right, they're also showing that it's playing games and beating games. So at what point are we going to see Claude models playing against you in those games? So one thing I see everybody talking about is this huge increase in long context and long horizon tasks. What it means is that you can give AI an ability to work on a task, let it go, and just come back, and it most likely is going to be correctly executed. So what that means for you is try giving it tasks that you thought were not possible before, or too big or too ambitious. Try building the game you wanted to try to build. They're talking about games still quite a lot here. It is interesting how they're showcasing a lot of gaming. I feel like that involves a lot of learning within this 1 million context window, as well as spatial recognition and understanding what the goals of the games are and how to reach them. Also, it's probably cheating because you can Google all of the tips and tricks while you're playing, and it's definitely much better than a human at this. They're talking a lot about health and biology, which is exciting for me. I do believe these models will help solve a lot of diseases, and this seems like a breakthrough on that as well. What's surprising to me, at Opus 4.5, was in November, and now it's June. It's basically 6 months, and it's the same leap as 4.5. This is incredible. What's going to happen in a year? What's interesting for me is this post from Karpathy. He just recently joined Claude, and I'm sure he had access to the model and testing it out. He's saying that the model is peaking, especially for the long problem-solving sessions and very difficult problems. You can give it a lot more ambitious tasks than what you would used to, and the model just gets it and it will go. And it's never felt so tempting to stop looking at the code. And coming from Andre, that's pretty ambitious. He's also saying that in his opinion, it's the same order of change as Claude 4.5 was in November. If that is true, this is huge. So it costs 2 times more than Opus 4.5, so your limits are going to run out 2 times faster. I have seen that Cowork is showing that you can do 2 times limits until July 5th. I don't know if it's going to apply to Fable 5. It might. And if that's the case, that's a trick for you. Everybody are also talking about the guardrails. And that's kind of what Andre is talking about as well. That these things currently have safeguards configured to be a little too trigger happy for the launch. And I do see a lot of people posting about it and saying that safeguards are too strict. So far, I haven't run into them, but the more I'm going to use them, I'm sure everybody is going to be running into them. I'm sure they will tone it down as well, but still. It is kind of frustrating that the access to the model is only up until June 22nd, but it means we have to try it out as much as possible. Maybe they'll get more compute and they'll have very small limits or, again, high usage costs for it. I'd rather have that than only have access to this model for usage credits. Maybe that's where the models are heading after a while, because for most people, you're not going to need access to these frontier intelligence models if you need your regular tasks. Opus 4.8 might handle it as well. This kind of world means access to the generic intelligence is going to be cheaper and wider, and those frontier are going to be more expensive and more inaccessible for regular users. So the TLDR is, Fable is the most powerful public model. Mythos is the restricted version. And the shift is that we're moving from small AI tasks to giving AI more longer-term responsibilities. And that is all exciting because